guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Anna. I'm a little bit spooky, and today we're going to talk about the 1111 palette from Colourpop. I picked this up the other day and have been playing with it and create a few looks, and so I thought we could do a nice little overview of the palette and a full kind of review and do a super duper glam look with it so we can see the capabilities of said palette. And yeah, because I've done some soft looks, I've done some in-between glamish looks, done a little bit of everything with it so far except a super duper glam. So that's what we're going to do today. Alright, let's get into the video. But before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below, let me know some more Colourpop palettes that you're interested in that maybe went under the radar, that didn't get a lot of a hype. Is there any that you're interested in that you would like to see looks with? Let me know. I have quite a little collection of them. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's just start right out with the claims and everything about the palette, some details. This is the Colourpop 1111 palette. It retails for $18 at Ulta and Colourpop.com, or whatever their website's called, the Colourpop website. It says here to create the perfect ethereal looks with 12 modern nudes that flatter everyone in matte sparkle, and pearlescent glitter finishes. Ultra pigmented pressed powder formula that lasts long, applies evenly, blends like a dream. Essential neutrals ranging from light to deep to complement every skin tone. This palette is all you need to create ethereal day to night looks. The formula contains a unique combo of softer powders which adhere easily, give soft focus effect, and blend smoothly and evenly. And you know what? I would agree. There is definitely a little bit of a difference with the formula I've noticed with this one. The shadows feel silkier than my typical Colourpop palettes that I have. They definitely feel a little bit more elevated. The shimmers are a little more refined. And it's still that amazing Colourpop quality that I love. I've never had like a dud from Colourpop. I've always been like, yeah, these are good palettes. There's no downside to any of the ones that I own anyways. I have, I think, 4 of the big boys, multiple of the 9 pans, and a few of the ones that is this size as well. And I've always been impressed with them, been like, wow, these are so good for the price point. You can't beat them. And I stand by that. You can't beat the quality of Colourpop. But this one does feel like they are moving into a little bit more of an elevated direction. Perhaps they're trying to compete with the Natasha Denonas of the world. And while I don't think it is Natasha Denona quality, it is definitely a step in that direction. Definitely getting there with the feel of the formula. It's a little more refined and nuanced than previous Colourpop palettes, but it's still pretty much what you see is what you get, which is a nice benefit of Colourpop. There's no surprises in their palettes where sometimes, you know, when you get a Natasha Denona eyeshadow or like a Huda one or something, they may not be the way they appear, which to me is usually a pleasant surprise. They're much more nuanced and complex on the eye than what they look like in photography, video, or even just at a glance. With Colourpop, they pretty much are true to what they look like in the pan on the eye. So you're not going to have any of that, depending how you look at it, pleasant or unpleasant surprise. Some people may not enjoy that the way I do about the surprising complexity of an eyeshadow, where I'm like, oh, ooh, this looks a little different than I was thinking and I like it. I usually get kind of excited about that and think it's cool. Some people may not enjoy that. Anyway, I feel like they have elevated something here. The formulas feel a little bit more refined. And now I have heard lots of buzz around this being similar to the I Need a Nude palette. And yes and no. I think there's a little bit of overlap. You can definitely kind of get the vibe of I Need a Nude. But there is actually a little more range in the 1111 palette, which I think this is going to be a little bit more consumer friendly, whereas I Need a Nude is a bit more niche. It's definitely limiting. Like, I don't think it's the most deep skin tone friendly palette, whereas the 1111 can be and work more so across a majority of skin tones, which they do point out, and I wonder if that is a slight dig at the I Need a Nude palette. Because overall, the I Need a Nude palette is a pretty desaturated palette. I would honestly think 1111 is a nice mixture of I Need a Nude and the Glam palette from Natasha Denona. Like, I think you can get a nice middle ground with this. Now you're not going to get that same experience and quality and nuance, but you're going to get a similar vibe, but I don't think it's an exact dupe. There may be a few shades that do overlap, and I think there's going to be some shades that kind of overlap with the Glam palette as well. If you enjoy the Going Coconuts palette, if you enjoy That's Taupe, Stone Cold Fox, you're going to like 1111. It's definitely going to be up your alley. But then again, you might not need it because you have those other palettes, but this one does offer those warmer tones in there and neutrals that maybe those other three palettes I mentioned don't quite have. There's a little bit more warmth in here, but in a not red-orange way. It's just more of that neutral warm. And that's what I really like about this palette, is it is a true neutral palette that you can bring in a little warmth, you can bring it a little cooler, you can really have a nice balance with it. But yeah, it's definitely a really pretty kind of classic color story that I think is just a staple. And they're very, the shade range is a nice shade range just to have. Like, if you're not somebody who wants a ton of palettes, but you want something affordable, that's good quality, that's trustworthy, that's just kind of got your bases covered, this is a good palette to look at. If you're not somebody who likes a ton of colors or anything, you just like some nice neutrals and you don't want to spend Natasha Denona price points or any high-end price point, mid-range, whatever, you want something a little more affordable, this is a good palette to go for. And I don't think you'll be disappointed in the quality of it. That is phenomenal. The quality is 10 out of 10. Definitely the best from Colourpop I've tried. And that's saying a lot because I thoroughly enjoy Colourpop's quality. And I think they're a very good brand. But inside you have what we got here. You've got 12 shades within this palette in a really pretty range of colors and finishes. I wouldn't call all these like just straight metallic or matte. I think there's a little more nuance in here. Where you have some shades in here that are that more pearlescent, smooth metallic. You have some that are a bit more chunky with a little bit more glitter within. Pumpkin, come sit down. You have a couple in here that have that a little bit more chunky. I wouldn't call it chunky, but just not quite as smooth as the other ones. They're a bit more sparkly. You definitely have some of that in here, some of that pinpoint sparkle going on. So there's a little bit of a variety of finishes, and you do have one of those sparkle matte shades that are virtually useless as far as the sparkle goes. All it basically does is give you a lot of glittery fallout. But this one's not as bad as others that I've used. And I mean, if you try, you can get the sparkles to show up on your lids. But to me, I don't know why they bother putting the sparkle in the matte shades. It just doesn't work. It doesn't translate on the eye very well because it has nothing to stick to. When it's in a metallic shade, it just works better for some reason. The emollientness of the metallics and all, it works better in a metallic in my opinion. So I don't love that formula from Colourpop, but at the same time, it doesn't really hurt anything either. It's just they function as a matte to me, and there might be a random sparkle here and there that you can just dust away. So yeah, you only have one shade like that in here. There's something very pleasant about looking at this palette and the colors. They're very just nice. You can definitely get that more pared back eyeshadow look that's very popular at the moment, of just maybe a wash of shimmer on the lid, that wet look. You can get that with this palette. You can definitely do some very soft everyday looks with this, and it functions great for that. And for like a night out, you can get a nice glam look here as well. It's a very classic color story, and I think it's really pretty. You can definitely get kind of a 90s vibe from it. You can do all cool tone look. You can do a little bit more of a warmer look. It's versatile in the best ways, and I like it. I really do like it. Within the palette, you have the shade Total Angel, which is a metallic icy white. Now, what I want to say about that one is to me, it's not like in your face metallic. It is definitely more of a pearl finish. There's something very soft and graceful about this shade. It's not a stark icy white. It's more glowy. Next is Manifested, a metallic soft gold with silvery pinpoints. We have Good Thoughts. It is a matte camel. Very pretty color. I love a good camel shade. And this is a very soft camel. Very pretty. Really nice, kind of a yellowy undertone. And next is Balanced, which is a metallic champagne taupe. Then we have Protection, which is a matte pinky nude. Beautiful color there. Major Change, a metallic taupe, true metallic taupe. Next is Reflect, a pearlescent glitter with warm bronze with a silver and gold copper glitter. Lucky Babe is a matte soft taupe, beautiful contour type of color. Perfect Harmony is a matte plummy taupe. You have Right Path, which is a matte warm brown, classic matte warm brown that isn't orangey. And then we have Empowered, which is a matte true brown. And yeah, that's exactly what it is, matte true brown. And lastly, there is Divine, which is described as a matte sparkle, is a rich black and brown with silver pinpoints. And it is populated very well with the silver pinpoints. And they're a little bit smaller. They're not like super chunky or anything. They're very delicate looking, which I think is a bit of an upgrade where they're not just like glitter chunks like they used to be in these palettes. But still, it really doesn't do much on the lid unless you like really pressed it on with a finger. I think if you just took it like this and applied it that way, that's the only way you're really going to get those sparkles. With a brush, the sparkles just kind of dust away and they might land on your cheeks and stuff. So as with most Colourpop palettes, I do prefer to do eyes first because there's the risk of like some sparkle drop down. But I didn't notice any fallout from the mattes, which in previous experience, I've always felt like their mattes were a little bit inclined to fall out depending on the tone and formulation of them. This one is definitely a palette that if I wasn't doing anything super glam, I could throw on after makeup and be fine. But the formula definitely does feel upgraded. Oh my gosh, I still have eyeliner on my hand from yesterday. This eyeliner, side note, it's a Revlon eyeliner that has been on my hand through multiple hand washings and a bath. I'm gonna get some freaking micellar water after it. It is a liquid liner from Revlon. And it is really on there. Like I used makeup remover last night and all kinds of stuff when I took my makeup off it. And took a whole bath and yeah, that's still on there. And it's only on the side over here where I just don't see it. So I kept seeing it in the mirror. I was like, oh, thinking I had a cut or something. Let's create a look. I've rambled enough. My eyes are primed. I used my regular old eye primer today from NYX. And then I kind of, to even the lid out, I used a little bit of a Bobbi Brown eye crayon in the shade Shell, which matches my skin tone. Let's get this hair out of the way also. And a drink of coffee. So what I'm going to do here is start out with that camel shade because I haven't used it yet either. I'm mainly focused on stuff I haven't used yet in the palette. I've used the majority of this palette, just not quite those really, really warm shades. So I haven't gotten to dip into the camel shade, this gold here, or this one. I haven't really used those three. So those are the ones I kind of want to focus on today for the look. And we're going to start out with that Good Thoughts shade, which is that camel color right here at the top. And we're going to put that through the socket line and transition area. These do seem more finely milled. All right, I'm going to run that through here and see what it looks like with a big fluffy brush. Not looking too powdery in the pan. Little bit of kick up, nothing crazy. Yeah, that's a nice transition shade. Really nice camel. I love a good camel color. Typically I like one a little bit deeper, but I like this for transition. You could definitely get like that latte eye with this palette. If anybody's still into that, I am. Now I'm going to go over to Right Path, which is the warm medium brown right there. And we're going to tuck that a little deeper into the crease. And I'm taking this on a E25 from Sigma. I need to get some of the eye brushes from Colourpop. I just always walk right past them if I'm in Ulta or just forget they exist when I'm shopping online. I know you can get them in like a really good value set with like a palette and stuff. I'm like, take advantage of that. Do it. Just why? One thing I will say about Colourpop is I think that they are a really good brand for if you're building your kit, starting out as a makeup artist or something. A great way to get a ton of eyeshadows that are beautiful quality that you can fill out your kit with and have variety. Like their big palettes. I can't remember what they're called. But they're like they're kind of mega palettes, you know. They got a ton of shades in them. They usually have kind of a color story. Just get like the value bundle of those because you can get them in like, I think they have a couple of bundles. I bought one of the bundles and got 4 of them. And you can catch a sale. I got them so cheap during like I think it was maybe a Black Friday sale or something. Yeah, do that. That is a wonderful way to just to fill out your collection at home. If you don't want to spend a ton of money but just want to have a good variety, that's the way to do it. All right, just slowly building a bright path here. I kind of dig the theme of this palette also. I am one of the woo-woo girls that likes the 1111s. Like, I really, really do. And I like the vibe of this palette. There's just a really nice positivity to it, and yeah, I don't know, it feels good to me. But do you guys like get into the angel numbers, the 1111? Do you think anything of that? I do, but I don't want to talk about it because I feel like I jinx it. Kind of out of character for me to be that way because I'm a bit more of an analytical kind of gal, but I'm also a little stitious, I guess you could say. Bright path builds up really, really well, and you can get a lot of payoff from it, which gives this palette a lot of versatility. Whereas with I Need a Nude, you're not going to get that versatility as far as like the mattes within. They're all pretty soft except for like one shade. There's not a lot of depth in the palette. A lot of these shades, this really does remind me of like just a mix of I Need a Nude in the Glam palette. I don't have the Glam palette. I don't know why. I just never purchased it. But I feel like it's something I need. Like, I feel like I need that palette in my life. But I don't really, because I have. That's the reason I never bought it, because I'm like, girl, you've got them shades about a million times over. Alright, just building up Bright Path a little more here. I'm going to clean this brush off, and I'm going to go back to Good Thoughts, the Camel, and use that right around that edge to soften things up. Okay. That looks really, really pretty. And Bright Path definitely comes out to be a little more neutral. Definitely, it gives me Kevin Aqua vibes. Or like 90s classic supermodel makeup. I'm going to go down to an E27 from Sigma, and we're going to take Empowered. Deepen things up on this outer corner. Classic glam today, girl. Classic glam. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a patting motion. This is the True Brown. Should probably show you. Should I make a point to show you what I'm doing? I am tapping my brush off before I go in as well. I recommend doing that with every palette, not just Colourpop. And I also am notoriously messy with eyeshadow. Like, I make a mess. I just do, and then I tidy up later. And I see people who just get like zero fallout, and I'm just like, how do you do that? I do all the tricks. I tap the brush off. I try to be so gentle. That's how I am with all things in life. I'm a little bit messy until it's done. Like, when I'm do like art or anything like that, it's a nightmare until I'm finished. Like, I make a huge mess. It's what I do. I'm a messy, chaotic in the process person. Then it all comes together, and you would never know. I would, I guess, describe myself as slightly chaotic. Organized chaos. That is me. Yeah, that's such a good, just nice brown right there. As a classic brown. And this palette you can get some beautiful just matte looks with that are very just simple, and yeah, this is a solid palette. A solid, good purchase for anybody. I think a lot of people could find joy if you like neutrals. This is the one. If you don't want to get one of the mega palettes from Colourpop, this is a really nice size. I like this. You got enough variety in here, but it's not overwhelming. And these really are blending incredibly well. Like, yeah, they did do something with this palette. And it definitely has that kind of soft focus look to it. They have a nice blurry effect, which is one of the things I appreciate from like higher end eyeshadows, is that they tend to have that look. This has that. All right, I'm just building that up and out a little bit, and it's just so easy to diffuse. Like, you could definitely do one and done with this palette because they just all diffuse so easily and build that you wouldn't have to use multiple shades if you didn't want to. I enjoy the process, so I'm gonna do what I want to do, All right, I'm gonna dip back into Right Path, that previous warm brown. Just make sure she's still there. Just creating a nice transition and blend. Thoroughly enjoying every second of this, You know how I am. You may not, but that's how I am. All right, I'm going to go to a smaller brush, and I'm going to go to Divine, which is the deepest of the shades right here. The one with the sparkle in it. It's a blackened brown. We're just going to take that real kind of close to the lash line a little bit. And on the outer corner there, just right here. I'm using a very broken Morphe brush that I'm not even sure what it's supposed to be anymore. And just use this to darken up right there. This is a really good liner shade. This palette is like kind of, I would think of like red carpet makeup. Classic, pretty glam. Soft glam. I don't think they were intentionally trying to dupe Natasha Denona with this palette, by the way. I think they just happened to be on a similar track of color story because this is a trending color story. The mattes in here also make me think of that new Makeup of Mario palette with the cooler mattes within. I think these kinds of neutrals that lean a little cool, these more nudie colors that they're describing as nudie, is just what's trending. So all the brands are coming out with them. And I love them. I really do. I'm a fan of these types of just hazy colors, I guess. Slightly more desaturated side of it. That's not screaming in your face, oh, that's that kind of color, you know? There's more of a shadowiness going on. And that darkest matte brown, or that darkest brown, how easily that blended in. And yeah, no sparkles. There's no sparkle visible. And like, I'm pointing out about the sparkles and just being like about them because it's just kind of pointless. But at the same time, it's not something that's going to stop me from buying the palette because I know it's just going to function as a nice matte. The sparkles are just whatever. Like they're just there to get a little more empowered. Just blend a little bit right here. Now let's try this reflect shade. It is the pearlescent glitter with warm bronze base with silver, gold, and copper glitter. I'm going to put it on the lid. So I'm going to start with this brush. Let's see how it goes. See how it picks up. All right, it's picking up okay. Appears to be. Oh, yeah, she's pretty. Definitely reminds me more of a Huda formula. Very sparkly. Yeah, I would treat that more just as kind of a glitter topper. It can be opaque, but I feel like it would look too thick. I'm liking the way it looks applied like this. A little bit more of a padding diffused. Yeah, I would treat this more as a topper shade. Let's see how it builds. It's building up nicely though. It has really nice colors in it that pick up differently as you move. Like you definitely see the gold, silver, and copper within it in person. Not a ton of fallout from it either. That's pretty. But I should have done this one last. I was thinking it was going to be a little more opaque. Let's take a little bit of this one up here. That is Manifest. That is described as metallic soft gold with silver pinpoints. Let's pop a little bit of that on for just a little more opacity. Oh yeah, that's pretty. That's a very pretty soft gold. Very classic color. It's layering over Reflect really well. Yeah, I would have done that in the opposite order, but whatever. You can see those little silver pinpoints within this shade. I'm going to grab a little bit more of Reflect and layer some more of that on top. That's the more glittery shade. I think if you took it with your finger, you would definitely get like a more opaque application. But I can see a potential of it getting a little chunky, the way a Huda eyeshadow will on you. Which I mean, I don't mind. I like Huda's formula, so it's not like a dig. I wouldn't describe Huda's palette so it's necessarily beginner friendly. Let's just see. Tap in a little bit with the finger. Oh yeah. Okay, with the finger you're gonna get full payoff there. and glittery goodness and metallic goodness. See, I would not call that a pearl. I would call that a metallic glitter. And I would refer the other metallics in here as pearls. But that's just me. But that's very pretty. Very pretty. Lots of complex sparkle in there in various colors. Very Huda-like with that kind of nuance within a sparkle. Makes me think a little bit of something that's in like in the Empowerment palette. Okay, I'm going to take a little more of Empowered, the True Brown, and I'm just going to tap right there just to create a nice blend between the two shades here. That's very pretty. This is like a going out, night on the town look. Taking my blending brush and just smoothing the edges. So I'm gonna grab a liner brush and a bit more of Divine, the deepest. And just go right into that lash line with it. Alright, just doing a little finessing here with the mattes. I do a little bit of glitter drop down, but not a crazy amount. Nothing that can't be cleaned up. So I'm going to just wipe away the little bit of sparkles that I do have on my cheeks with a bit of face primer, which you can clip however you prefer to do it. I use like micellar water sometimes. I use face primer. I use face cream and Q-tips. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'm going to do my face makeup, and we'll be back for the lower lash line and some finishing touches just to round it out, and we will talk about some firm opinions and final thoughts on the palette. Alright, lower lash line. Let's finish this up. I just did face makeup, all of that. Everything I've used on my face today will be listed and linked below if you're curious about that. But yeah, here we are. I've just thrown some lip liner too because I was finished listening to a video and had to kill a little time. So, lower lash line. I'm going to take a little smudge brush here and go straight into the darkest brown and just run that pretty tight right here. Join it up. It's a little watery as per usual. Go over to Empowered, the True Brown. Just run a bit of that on across too and use that to kind of blend a little bit. Very light hand. Barely touching. Alright, and we'll do a little bit of Right Path just to kind of blend out some, which is the warm brown just below there. Very softly. Again, barely touching. And on the inner blank spot there, I'm going to take some of Manifest It, which is that light gold shade right here. Go. A little bit of glitter fallout from this. And there are rogue sparkles on my face currently. A little more fallout than I initially thought from the glitters. But that's what's like with glitters. That's just kind of the part of the deal. You're gonna get a few glitters on the face. Which, if it's not like that many, it doesn't bother me. Like a couple of rogue sparkles, it's not gonna be the end of the world. And it's like I don't really see them. I think the only time you really see them is like if you're in like direct sunlight or something. All right, and now I'm gonna take this shade called Balanced, which is this one right there. And I'm gonna take that on the inner corner. This was the Champagne Taupe. And that just gives a really nice brightening effect right there. I also just did a little bit of that on the brow bone a while ago. I just forgot to film that. Like just the tiniest amount. Okay. I'm going to throw on some mascara. Really quick. I'm just going to use the L'Oreal Telescopic Lift because it's in front of me. Alright, and I've already put on a little bit of Cork from MAC on the lips. And lipstick I'm going to use, what is this? Revlon Super Lustrous and Extra Spicy, because I feel like that would look pretty with this eye look. Full glam today, girl. Alright. Yeah, a few rogue sparkles there on the cheeks, but here's what the eyes are looking like. I love it. It's pretty. Very fun, very glam look. This is definitely more of a evening out look with the palette. It's a good example of just a very glam look with the palette. And the everyday looks are super achievable with this, and all matte looks. Really nice versatile palette. More versatile than I Need a Nude. I think, like I said, it's a nice mashup of the glam palette and I Need a Nude, rather than just being a dupe of the one. you'll get kind of the vibe of both those palettes pretty easily, and a lot of other high-end palettes on the market, honestly, that have a very similar color story at the moment. Because this is just kind of a trending color story. These more neutral, nudie shades. They're just a little more shadowy and not really distinct colors. But I like the warmth that is thrown in this one with the golds and that camel. And I think it's pretty. So anyway, I've got lipstick all over my teeth. My final verdict on this palette is that it is beautiful. I think it's a little more versatile than I Need a Nude and can work on multiple skin tones a little bit better. If you pick this up, I don't think you're going to be disappointed in it. If this color story speaks to you, you'll be happy with it. The quality is definitely there. If you're using the more glittery shades, I would just say do your eyes first. But everything else about the palette is very solid. The quality is better than typical Colourpop quality, even. And I think Colourpop's quality is pretty top-notch. So it's a great palette. 10 out of 10. Colourpop did a great job on that. Please let me know down in the comments below if there's any other Colourpop palettes that you're interested in. And if I don't have it, I might go pick it up and play with it and see what I can do. And yeah, anything pertaining to Colourpop. Any questions, comments, concerns, whatever. Drop it in the comments and we can talk all about it. I do have upcoming a full lip swatch video of every Colourpop Ultra Matte Lip that I own. I have quite a few of them. So that'll be fun to sit down and swatch them all on the lips and see how they look. Yeah, so that will be coming up with Colourpop as well. And maybe would you guys be interested in a ranking of all my Colourpop palettes and what I think is best from worst to best of all of them, or something like that, like a roundup of the Colourpop palettes I have, because I do have quite a few. So yeah, let me know all that down below. And I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye now.